Alright guys, thank you for watching. This is the review for our Unit 8, our solving polynomials for Algebra 2. The test that you guys are going to take will look pretty much exactly like this. We are solving polynomials, which means we are finding the roots, which is the x-intercept. So there are a couple questions on each of these. Classification just means the name of it. So this one is a quadratic because of our exponent of 2. And since it does have the highest exponent is 2, that's the degree, and then the number of solutions is always the same as the degree of the polynomial. Excuse me. All right, so this method is going to be used, we can split the middle. We can also use the quadratic formula because it does have a square, but depending on your preference, some people like to do split the middle, which is easier, or quadratic formula, which is easier. On the test, I will give you the quadratic formula in case you'd rather use that instead of split the middle. So split the middle, first thing we do is we multiply the first term and the last term, so 3 times negative 14 would be negative 42. And then now we have to find two numbers that multiply to negative 42, but then also add to positive 1. That's the whole splitting the middle. And those two numbers are positive 7 and negative 6. All right, so then we split that middle, 3x squared, and then it doesn't matter which one we use first. I'll just do negative 6x plus 7x minus 14. All right, and that's the point, is splitting that middle, that positive 1x we get from negative 6x and 7x right there. All right. So then, once we do that, we just factor by grouping. Take out the greatest common factor here. The greatest common factor between 3x squared and 6x is 3x. And then what am I left with? I'm left with x minus 2. Factor out a 7 here, so that's a positive 7. Factor that out. What am I left with? X minus 2. And that's the point, because I want these two to be the same. And then my final factored form is 3x plus 7, and then x minus 2. All right, so the x minus 2's are the same, and then I just combine with grouping, 3x plus 7. So that's my factored form. Now to find the solutions, though, I have to put each of these equal to 0, and then solve. 3x plus 7 equals 0, and then x minus 2 equals 0. Well, this one's easy. To get the x by itself, I just add 2 to both sides. My first solution is x equals 2. Here I do have to do a little algebra. 0 minus 7 is negative 7. Drop down the 3x, and then divide by 3. My second solution is x equals negative 7 over 3. So there is split the middle. You can also use the quadratic formula. Like I was saying, it is your choice. All right, next one. There is one question like this on the test. The classification, this is a cubic. Cubic because the degree is 3. Cubic is what it's called. Then obviously we have 3 solutions. Here, the way we're going to factor this is the greatest common factor method. All right, so we're going to take out the greatest common factor of both terms. We can factor out a 6, and we can factor out an x. Now, what am I left with? So basically, factoring out and dividing a 6x. 6x cubed divided by 6x is just x squared. Negative 12x divided by 6x is negative 2x. Just negative 2, sorry about that. Because the x's cancel out. Equals 0. So taking out the GCF there. I set each of them equal to 0. 6x equals 0. And then x squared minus 2 equals 0. So kind of like the one above, each of those get placed to 0, and then we just solve. Get that x by itself, divide by 6. My first solution is x equals 0. So here we will have to do a little bit of algebra. We add 2 to both sides, add 2 to both sides. I have x squared equals 2. Now that x squared, the x isn't technically by itself because it's being squared. So how I get rid of that is take the square root. So my other two solutions, because I do have 3, well, square root and square cancel out. So it's just x equals plus or minus square root of 2. Because whenever we take the square root of a positive number, it gives us 2 solutions, and there's my 3 solutions total. I can't simplify square root of 2 anymore, so that is done. Okay, halfway done. This is another method that we can do split the middle, except the classification, because we have an exponent of 4, this is called a quartic. 4th degree, 4 solutions. I'm going to use a pen. So, split the middle, kind of like just how we did earlier. Take that first term of 1 multiplied by 24. 1 times 24 is 24. I need 2 numbers now that multiply to positive 24, but when add or combined go to negative 11. That is negative 8 and negative 3. So now I do x to the 4th. I split that middle right there. It's going to be negative 8x squared minus 3x squared plus 24. And just like I did, I'm going to factor now by grouping. What's my GCF here? Well, that's just x squared. And then what am I left with? Divide each term by x squared. I'm left with x squared minus 8. Here I'm going to factor out a negative 3 because my third term is negative. I can't factor out an x or an x squared because there's nothing over here. What am I left with? X squared minus 8. Perfect. I can now combine x squared minus 3 and my x squared minus 8, x squared minus 8. Kind of similar to what we did before. Now I set each of these equal to 0, and then I solve. Add 3 to both sides, add 8 to both sides. I get x squared equals 3, x squared equals 8. Taking the square root of both sides, because we've got to get rid of that square, and we're going to have our 4 solutions. X equals plus or minus root 3, x equals plus or minus root 8. That root 8 can be simplified a little further into square root of 4 times square root of 2. We break that down like we were doing with radicals. So it would be plus or minus 2 root 2, which is the same thing as root 8. Okay, very last one. Here we go. We've been doing a lot of factoring by grouping. So we have 4 terms. This is a cubic degree of 3, which is the highest exponent. We're going to have 3 solutions. Okay, let's factor out what we can. X squared, what am I left with? X minus 4. And then factor out a negative 5 there. And that leaves me x minus 4. Just like I've been doing, there's a lot of grouping on this one. X squared minus 5. And then x minus 4, x minus 4. We're just breaking that down. Okay, set each equal to 0. X squared minus 5 equals 0. X minus 4 equals 0. Well, this one's the easy one. Add 4, add 4. My first solution is x equals 4. Here I'm going to add 5 to both sides to simplify. And just like we've been doing, get rid of that square by taking the square root of both sides. Square root of positive 5, because that square root and the square cancel out, it is plus or minus. So that gives us our 2 more solutions. X equals plus or minus root 5, which we can't simplify any further. All right, that is the review of the test. It's only going to be 4 questions, just like we were doing here. Thank you.